In the European Union, Hungary stands out for its increasingly independent course under Prime Minister Viktor Orban. His leadership has been marked by a series of bold and often controversial decisions that have set Hungary apart from its European neighbors. Rather than following Brussels' lead, Hungary has positioned itself as a staunch defender of national sovereignty. This stance has led to frequent clashes with the EU over policies on migration, judicial reforms, and most notably, energy. Hungary's government argues that these policies are essential to protect its national interests and cultural identity. The government openly questions the Western-led order, arguing that the rise of new global powers necessitates a fresh approach to foreign and economic policy. Orban believes that aligning with these emerging powers can offer Hungary new opportunities for growth and development. Can a nation remain a committed EU member while forging deep ties with rivals like China and Russia? Orban's answer is a resounding yes. He envisions a Hungary that can balance its commitments to the EU with strategic partnerships that serve its national interests. Hungary's strategy is to defy EU policies it deems harmful, especially on energy, while seeking closer ties with the BRICS bloc. This approach aims to secure Hungary's energy needs and economic future by diversifying its alliances and reducing dependency on Western powers. We'll explore Hungary's defiance on energy, its pivot eastward, and the domestic vision driving these choices. Orban's policies reflect a broader strategy to position Hungary as a key player on the global stage, leveraging its unique geopolitical position. Ultimately, Hungary's bold moves may reshape not just its own future, but the very fabric of the European Union. As Hungary continues to chart its own course, the Szauridam are Jawi read and Sti, Arj read the Dao, Dui bin Dao, Denso. The implications for the EU and the global order remain to be seen. Energy policy is where Hungary's clash with the EU is most visible. The country's dependence on Russian gas has become a defining issue, setting it apart from many of its European neighbors. While other EU states scramble to diversify their energy sources, Hungary remains firmly tied to Moscow, seeing little alternative that won't come at a steep price. As the EU moves to ban Russian oil and gas by 2028, Hungary sees this as a direct threat to its economy and security. The government argues that such a move would not only disrupt daily life, but also risk thousands of jobs and drive up costs for ordinary Hungarians. Foreign Minister Péter Szijjártó has vowed to block the ban, even considering legal action. He insists that Hungary cannot be forced into policies that would undermine its own stability, and he's not alone. Many Hungarians support this defiance, seeing it as a matter of national pride. Hungary's energy system is built on Russian pipelines. Alternatives are scarce and costly. Building new infrastructure or switching to other suppliers would take years and billions of euros, a burden the government says it cannot bear. For Brussels, sanctions are a moral stand and a tool to pressure Moscow. EU leaders argue that unity is essential to weaken Russia's influence and end the war in Ukraine, even if it means short-term pain for member states. For Budapest, they're self-destructive, hurting Europe more than Russia. The government claims that ordinary citizens will pay the highest price, while Russia simply finds new buyers for its energy. This isn't just a technical dispute, it's a fundamental clash of priorities. Collective action versus national interest. The debate has grown heated, with both sides accusing the other of ignoring vital realities. Hungary argues that a one-size-fits-all policy ignores the unique needs of member states. The government insists that energy security must be tailored to each country's circumstances, not dictated from Brussels. For Orban's government, energy security is non-negotiable, even if it means political friction with the EU. The Prime Minister has made it clear that Hungary will not compromise on what it sees as a matter of survival. This standoff exposes a deeper rift. Can the EU balance solidarity with the realities of its diverse members? The question goes beyond energy, touching on the very nature of the European project. Hungary's answer is clear. National interests come first. The government is prepared to stand alone if necessary, betting that others may eventually follow its lead. The energy dispute is just one front in a broader battle over the EU's future direction. As the continent faces new challenges, the question remains, can unity survive when national interests are at stake? As tensions with Brussels rise, Hungary is turning east. Orban champions a multipolar world, seeing the BRICS nations as essential partners for Hungary's future. While not a formal BRICS member, Hungary's alignment is clear, seeking investment, new markets, and economic security from China and India. The Eastern Opening policy has brought major Chinese investments, especially in electric vehicles and batteries, making Hungary a key EU hub for Chinese industry. Critics warn this could give China undue influence in Europe, but Orban sees it as pragmatic economics. Hungary is challenging the old assumption that Central Europe's only path is integration with the West. Instead, Budapest aims to bridge East and West, balancing Western alliances with Eastern opportunities. This pivot signals a profound shift in European foreign policy thinking. Orban frames Hungary's path as a choice, the Hungarian model versus the Brussels model. The Brussels model, in his view, means more EU control, higher taxes, and eroded national policies. The Hungarian model champions sovereignty, low taxes, and pro-family policies, using incentives for families and a workfare state to combat population decline. This narrative turns policy debates into a battle for national survival, casting Orban as the defender of Hungarian values. By defining the opposition as agents of Brussels, the government mobilizes its base and justifies tough choices. The result, a polarized political landscape with sovereignty at its core. Hungary's stance on the Ukraine conflict has set it apart from its EU and NATO partners, making it one of the most distinctive voices in the region. While many European countries have rallied behind Ukraine, Hungary has charted its own course, often clashing with allies over how to respond to the war. While most of the West supports Ukraine militarily, sending weapons and aid, Hungary consistently calls for immediate peace talks and warns that further escalation could have devastating consequences for the entire continent. The government has organized and supported peace demonstrations, emphasizing dialogue over confrontation. Budapest refuses to send weapons or allow military aid to transit its territory, citing not only the risks to Hungarian citizens, but also concerns for the ethnic Hungarian minority living in western Ukraine. The government argues that involvement in the conflict could endanger these communities and destabilize the border region. Hungary reluctantly supports most EU sanctions against Russia, but only after negotiating significant exemptions, especially regarding energy imports. The country's heavy dependence on Russian oil and gas has made it a vocal advocate for protecting its own energy security, even as it faces criticism from other EU members. Prime Minister Viktor Orban's government argues that sanctions hurt Europe more than Russia, leading to higher prices and economic hardship. Budapest also opposes fast-tracking Ukraine's EU membership, warning that it could drag the entire bloc into a direct confrontation with Russia and further destabilize the region. Critics across Europe see Hungary's approach as obstructionist and accuse it of undermining EU unity. However, Budapest defends its position as pragmatic, insisting that it is acting to protect both Hungarian interests and the long-term stability of the European Union. Hungary's reliance on Russian energy is a key factor shaping its policy. The government's call for an immediate ceasefire and negotiations resonates with a domestic audience that is wary of war and anxious about rising living costs and energy security. This stance has increasingly isolated Hungary within the West, but at home, it is presented as a bold move to put Hungarian interests first, even if it means standing alone on the European stage. Despite its anti-Brussels rhetoric, Hungary's relationship with the EU is pragmatic. Budapest defies the bloc on big issues but quietly benefits from EU funds and security structures. The strategy isn't to leave the EU but to reshape Hungary's role from within. A telling example: Hungary initially opposed the EU's Safe Defense Fund, then joined when the financial terms proved too attractive. When national interests are at stake, Orban's government sets aside ideology for practical gains. Hungary's approach maximizes EU benefits, minimize obligations, an a la carte model of integration. This frustrates EU leaders but allows Hungary to challenge Brussels while reaping the rewards of membership. Hungary's confrontational approach is a stress test for the EU's unity. Will Budapest's path deepen divisions or force the EU to rethink its structure? One scenario, a fragmented two-tier Europe with core states integrating further and countries like Hungary opting out of key policies. Orban proposes a flexible EU where members choose their level of integration, a direct challenge to the idea of ever closer union. Hungary's journey highlights the tension between supranational ambitions and national sovereignty. Will others follow Hungary's lead, or will it face isolation? The choices made now will shape Europe's future. The EU must decide adapt to accommodate dissent, or risk a fundamental split.